Oh, man, the run game was great. The run game was great last night, and DeAndre Swift is him. Better believe it.
You better, Jordan. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. So the Eagles win against the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday Night Football, 34-28. And yeah, this one, I thought the Eagles had this in the bag pretty early. And then, the Eagles made some mistakes. The Eagles had some drive killers with some penalties. Offense still has some issues going into everything. Are the Eagles going to change the philosophy of this offense or their identity this year? We'll kind of get into that. And the defense, there was some promise there with some plays, and a lot of players did play well. And obviously, we had our hiccups here and there with some coverage. We went into this game with more injuries than expected. We had Kenneth Gainwell out, we had Reed Blankenship, our starting safety, out, and we had James Bradbury out. And then Avonte Maddox ended up getting hurt again with a shoulder injury. Hurt just again, I think it was in the first half. So Mario Goodrich had to come in, and Josh Jobe was really that second outside corner that was taken over for Bradbury for the game. But as for the offense starting this game, I mean, I feel like Brian Johnson cannot get Jalen Hurts on a rhythm. He can't get Jalen Hurts going. And that's the one thing that they have to get this right, because, is your defense going to be able to do this every single game? Not saying the offense played worse than last week. I think they did get better, but obviously these games definitely build character. And, you hit adversity in 2 games already, and the Eagles have overcome that, and that's a great thing. Jalen Hurts for the day was 18 for 23, 193 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. So he had a rushing touchdown on the 1-yard line. I think it was after the fumble from Madison. I think that's the one that Fletcher Cox picked up, obviously they ran a couple times. I think DeAndre Swift ran to the 1-yard line, then Hurts kind of punched in right there. So with Hurts, threw into double coverage for Devontae Smith, tried to fling it to him, and it was picked off. Hurts is we all know Hurts could play. Okay, it's not the problem. The problem is Brian Johnson, his play calling. At the beginning of the game, it's like screen pass. Why are they running with Jalen Hurts so much on third down? They did play action first down almost every single series, and the Vikings weren't fazed by it. They were getting, I think he was sacked like 3 times by Danielle Hunter. So he got sacked more than 3 times, a few times, and it was a problem. The one to Devontae Smith, that was fantastic. Big reception there. Only resulted in 3 points with Jake Elliott, and Jake Elliott did miss another just at least one field goal today, which would have helped us a little bit more. But I couldn't put much on this defense, and I couldn't put much on Jake Elliott because so many opportunities with this offense. Off of 2 turnovers, and they couldn't even put points on the board. It was just, I feel like we were just literally reaching and clawing for yards at times. You know what I mean? So with Jalen Hurts, I just get him attuned to this offense, try to get him warmed up. I don't know what you need to do here. You just got the rhythm's just got to be great. And I think the route combinations for these receivers are trash, are horrible. I don't know what they're doing, putting them all in verticals, whatever they're doing, to the point where the Vikings are dropping 8 players in coverage. And behind those Vikings linebackers, it's wide open field. You have nobody on a cross or a slant or anything like that. There was times where Hurts had great protection. He's looking for guys nonstop, then has to run and then barely gets any yards. Our quarterback has been hit way too many times the last couple weeks. Okay. And then, like I said, the Devontae Smith catch resulted in only 3 points. It's just horrible. We're punting from the 40-yard line. And what about, Jalen Hurts? Just like I said, he is running QB design runs on 3rd and long. I feel like these are just big cop-out plays. Like Brian Johnson doesn't know what to do. Remember, we were at the 45-yard line, and they run with Hurts, and he gets sacked. He loses 8 to 10 yards on the play. We're at a field goal range. Run the football. Really, where things started to really spice up a little bit, to where you're taking some pressure off Jalen Hurts, is like at the end of the first half. You had 12 runs on one series. between Boston Scott, between DeAndre Swift. And let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something what saved the day, okay? It was DeAndre Swift. He had a monster game, okay? DeAndre Swift, okay, had, what is it? He had 175 yards on 28 carries and 1 rushing touchdown. He averaged 6.3 yards a carry. Okay. DeAndre Swift, I was ready for him to break one. He broke a few runs, had his first touchdowns as a Philadelphia Eagle. This is the most yards from a Philadelphia Eagles running back besides LaShawn McCoy's in 2013, okay, which I think was the Snow Bowl. And hasn't ran like for this many yards since he was at his high school, I think St. Joe's or whatever, what the high school that he went to. He was fantastic. Almost 30 carries, and people are wondering why I am not a big fan of Kenneth Gainwell as the running back one, that I think of him as a rotational guy. I've been saying this a million times that DeAndre Swift is the focal back and should be the focal back. The only thing that I'm afraid of now is when Kenneth Gainwell gets healthy and gets back for the Monday night game, they're going to use the crap out of him over DeAndre Swift, and it's really going to piss me off regardless. Now, Scott did end up getting hurt later on. That one drive where we ran 12 times, I think 11, 12 times. Scott ended up getting hurt. I think it was concussion. I forgot what it was. So he was out the rest of the game. So really it was DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. Okay, so Rashad Penny got a few snaps in the game. Had a couple good runs. They didn't really use him that much, but when Swift was taking a breather, Penny came in. So it's nice to have that reserve type back. I think they tired the crap out of that defensive line for the Vikings. And then really you could start working in the pass just a little bit. Thought in the second half it was just a little tiny bit better where they were running the football and they were just working the pass a little bit in between. So you can get that pass game going. So maybe they really have to get this run game going for, at least this is what Brian Johnson has to do, because he clearly can't get Jalen Hurts going just by passing the ball in the beginning of the game, okay? Between these stupid screen passes, Dallas Goedert was of no concern this game. I don't know how many. He had probably 3-4 catches, probably not that much in this game. He missed them on the right sideline later in the game that was overthrown. He hit him for like 9 yards on one pass. So there was like a few passes. Dallas Goedert, they really didn't use the tight ends whatsoever. But DeAndre Swift, though, I got to say, the touchdown that he had at the 1 yard line where he did this big jump cut in front of 2 guys. Then he runs to the left, and then he's just like, and just got into the end zone. I mean, just broke Harrison Smith's ankles, literally. Just didn't even, Harrison Smith could not do anything. So, this is why you keep 4 running backs for this reason. DeAndre Swift DeAndre Swift barely played. He had 1 rushing attempt in the first game. So there's a lot of juice. There's a lot of gas in the tank. He hasn't even done anything until this game. So better give him the ball a lot going forward. That's all I got to say. Gainwell should not have more steps than DeAndre Swift. I think a rotational back, yes, surely. But Kenneth Gainwell had 14 reps, I think 14 rushing attempts for 50-something yards. He wouldn't have done that in this game. There's no way he wouldn't have done that. But 175, that's just crazy. That's just insane. And Swift is just, I'm telling you, it's a fantastic thing to have an actual like running back one in your room, and it's gonna be 1 year deal. We traded a 7th round pick for him for what he's gonna give us this year. Keep these guys healthy, distribute the ball very well. Last night we couldn't really do much. We had to give him snaps because Scott ended up getting hurt and Gainwell was out. So somebody has to get more snaps, and obviously it was DeAndre Swift, and took a bulk of the carries, which it felt like we had a running back one in the whole entire game, and it just felt weird because we really haven't had that in a lot of years. It's been more of a rotation. Obviously, it will change once Gainwell comes back for the Monday night game, but I thought that was absolutely amazing. I thought the offensive line blocked pretty well in this game as well. I think, Cam Jurgens has been struggling a little bit. There's been some penalties. I think Lane Johnson had a penalty as a drive killer. Land Dickerson had a drive killing penalty. So there was some drive killers there. There was some stupid crap later in the game where A.J. Brown and I know the beat writers for Philadelphia are going to blow this thing up. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts had, a big discussion on the sideline. It was caught on camera. I mean, A.J. Brown only had 4 receptions for 29 yards, so he wanted the ball. And, people are going to say he's selfish. And look, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are best friends. People were posting this all over the internet after the game was over, and I get it, okay? It's a bad look, I guess, from whatever people are saying. Okay, these two are best friends. They'll work it out. Everything is fine. So, all the questions going into the locker room. Now, A.J. Brown was not in the locker room for press conferences at all. He literally left because he knew what was going to happen after this game, and it was caught on camera, and someone probably told him about it. And Nick Sirianni kind of had to, talk to Devontae Smith and talk to A.J. Brown, at the end before the camera kind of took off a little bit. So then they force-fed A.J. Brown after that, which I really didn't like. The first pass, he was draped all over, and it was incomplete. Then A.J. Brown probably would have had a touchdown. There was one touchdown from A.J. Brown in the second half on the right side of the end zone, and unfortunately beat his man, caught the ball. Rashad Penny got caught for holding, so that didn't count. And then A.J. Brown was on the left side and ran straight, ran a vertical pretty much, beat the corner, and then I think it would have been a touchdown, and that cornerback ended up taking his right arm and really attacking his right arm before the ball came down. They didn't call a PI for that, which I thought was total BS. They didn't get one for that, so it is what it is. I mean, Devontae Smith last year in the Lions game, first game in 22, didn't have a catch. I don't even think he even had a catch the whole entire game. He was totally phased out, but you can't complain about it. A.J. Brown's going to have his big game. He's going to have multiple big games this year, but just some games just favor certain matchups where A.J. Brown might not have a lot of catches. Devontae Smith might not have a lot of catches. Sometimes it's going to happen, but there cannot be heated discussions on the sideline. And I don't think it was a heated discussion. I think it was just Hurts was like, I got you. I'll try to get some. I got you. And then A.J. Brown was just real frustrated. As a receiver, you want the football. I totally understand. I totally get it. So I know people are going to blow that up and make a big deal out of that going forward, which I can't stand when you blow things up for no reason. And that's just the way it's going to go. Defensively for the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously you had Justin Evans, you had Terrell Evans as your safeties. There were certain times where Edmonds was, especially for one play, I think which was a really big one for him. Justin Jefferson, ended up with a touchback, let the ball go when it was crossing the plane over the pylon, or behind the pylon, I should say, which did not count. And a lot of people are pissed off about this rule, and this has happened a lot of times in the league, and people think this rule should be out of here. But that was one of the most saving graces of the game, because Jefferson didn't have a touchdown the whole entire game at all, which was great. Still had over 120, 130 yards, but big play Slay was not shadowing Justin Jefferson the whole game, which I already knew. There was times where there was good coverage from Slay, where he was right on top of the ball and he just missed it by a thread. And there was other times where he was playing soft cushion behind the first down marker, and it really annoyed me. And then there was times where then they moved him up next play. He played more press on him, and he played a lot better. So it definitely went back and forth, but there were times where, I think Josh Jobe actually had a pretty good game. I know he gave the big touchdown. I know he gave the big touchdown, to Adderson on that big vertical play, but I thought and coverage-wise, I thought he played pretty damn good as a starting outside corner for his first game of his career in a real game. I thought Jobe did a pretty good job. Other than that, I thought he held his own pretty well. There's a couple sideline throws to Adderson, and he boxed him out pretty nicely. I thought he did a really good job there. Avonte Maddox gets hurt in the first half. Mario Goodrich comes in, and he had some issues covering tight ends. Hockenson had a couple touchdowns, so there was some issues. There was some issues there. Justin Evans had, I think he caused one of the fumbles in the game. I think it was I don't know know if it was the Madison fumble or it was the other fumble. I forgot which one it was, where the Eagles didn't convert any of those into points. But Justin Evans, there was issues with the secondary later in the game. They gave up a wide open touchdown to Osborne in the end zone. It was blown coverage. The peel off for safety help. There was a lot of assignment issues with the back end of the safety spot. There's no doubt. And this is just a learning. This is just something that's going to happen. Mistakes happen, and they just have to work on it and just fix it during game. This is what happens when you have Reed Blankenship in a game. Now you start to wonder, like, damn, like Reed Blankenship is a major factor. You definitely miss a heartbeat with this defense when Reed Blankenship isn't playing at all in this game. Obviously on a short week where guys were injured and couldn't play in this game. You know what I mean? So I thought Josh Jobe is okay. I just think there was assignment issues. I think it was just a stupid mental thing. I think these guys could have played a lot better, but that's what happens when Goodrich is playing his first game in the NFL and Josh Jobe is playing his first game in the NFL. So, missing pieces at safety, missing pieces at cornerback. And I think, as the linebacker wise, I think Zach Cunningham had a pretty good game. I think Nicholas Morrow had a pretty good game. They were making some tackles left and right. They were pretty productive. I saw Zach Cunningham on coverage when Justin Jefferson was was slanting towards the middle. And then, Zach Cunningham went up and deflected the ball. I thought Zach Cunningham, he's been playing really well. And Nicholas Morrow was brought from the practice squad to the active roster. Most likely will be here on the active roster for a few weeks because Dean, Nakobe Dean will be out for a good month, a few more weeks, and he will be back. So the defensive line, I think Fletcher Cox played fantastic. You had Jordan Davis with a sack. Jordan Davis, I'm telling you right now, Jordan Davis is having, from last year to this year, conditioning issues, his motor ran out, he got tired very quickly in games. This year, it seems like his hand placement's a lot better. His pass rush is so much better because they were actually doubling on Jalen Carter or doubling on Cox and leaving Jordan Davis one-on-ones. And I'm telling you, Jordan Davis is becoming a pass rusher, which I didn't think was going to happen that much. He must have got that much better in the offseason. Jordan Davis is having a really, really good year. And usually with first-round picks going into their second year, you want to see a big jump since he was hurt with that high ankle sprain last year. He was ranked the top 13 defensive tackle against the run last year. But now we need to say, are we getting a nice balance of a pass rush? And I think he's so good against the run. I know that Jalen, and not only that, Jordan Davis is helping out Jalen Carter. He's helping each guy that's around him, which is great. I think there would have been a sack for Brandon Graham. Got called. I think got called. The tackle got called for holding on him. The Vikings had to switch some offensive linemen. They were without their starting center, and then their left tackle ended up going out of the game, which he was dealing with an ankle injury. Then they switched him, and then another lineman got hurt and was carted off the field. So they were down like 3 linemen in this game during the game. So definitely helped out. You don't want to see guys injured, but they were already kind of hurt at that position, and they tried to keep some guys there, but this didn't last. As long as they got in Kirk Cousins' face, getting pressure on him, trust me, Kirk Cousins got some good licks in the, really got some good hits in the end zone. So, at least not the end zone, but behind the line of scrimmage. I thought they were very disruptive at times and did a really good job. I thought, I think Reddick has been kind of a no-show. Wonder if that thumb surgery thing is an issue right now. I thought they all played. I thought Josh Webb played great. The defensive line, pressure-wise, I thought they had pretty good, consistent pressure in this game. Like, there were times where they were blocked here and there. Maybe there was just wrong angles taken on maybe containing the outside. But when it came to, Matterson, Matterson, the running back from the Vikings, kind of running up the middle on the Eagles, like, he really didn't do too much to the Eagles today, no doubt. I don't think, I think against the run, the Eagles did pretty well. But it was just really about the soft coverage with these corners. They got some few passes in here and there. And I thought, like I said, I think the defensive line is just going to get better and better and better. I think we only sacked Kirk Cousins. We went from 2 sacks last week to 1 sack this week. So only 3 sacks so far, I think 3 for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. All right. So, defensive line is just getting better and better by the week. Sean Desai, he's only working what he's working with. He definitely is learning, guys. I definitely see a lot of Jonathan Gannon's defense in this defense in a lot of ways. Slay is standing like 10 yards from Justin Jefferson, kind of waiting for Jefferson to run to him and then react to the break of his route. And I hate that because I feel like Slay's going to get burnt on that every single time. There was times where Slay did get burnt across field where Slay had to go through traffic and get around people to go after Justin Jefferson, and it was almost impossible at times. You know what I mean? So I think they just missed some assignments on defense. You had a couple guys missing, but I think Job and Goodrich had, these are special reps for those two guys that really don't get playing time because of injuries right now. So it's nice to get some starting experience for those guys. And who knows, you might need them later on to say, you know what, I've been a starter in this defense because of injuries, and I can come in and it's the next man up mentality and see what they do. And I don't think they played that well. I just think, like I said, missed assignments and a lot of stupid things happened in this game defensively. So I like I said, I think overall, I think the Eagles did enough. I mean, they consumed a lot of clock. I think it was like 20 minutes. I mean, it was a lot of clock they consumed. I think it was like the first half or something like that, because they were running the ball so much and they really kept with it. Just run the ball with Swift. So I don't know. You might have to change what you do with this defense going forward. I don't know. With the offense going forward, maybe this isn't a passing offense this year. Maybe. You know what I mean? Like Quez Watkins had a right hamstring injury, I think a right hammy, so he was out. Zacchaeus came in. Zacchaeus didn't even get targeted one time. We're barely targeting the tight ends. We're barely targeting the wide receiver 3, and we didn't target A.J. Brown. And I understand you're not going to be able to target every single good player every single week, but you have to try to set Jalen Hurts into this rhythm in this offense, because unless Brian Johnson's going to be different, and I think you just have to start running with the ball instead of passing and then start easing Jalen Hurts into the passing game. Last year was much different. This year, it might be a different approach. It might not be through the passing game. It might be through these running backs, then getting him comfortable in the passing game. So I'm not saying Jalen Hurts can't do it. Because, they have to ease him in because Jalen Hurts isn't capable of doing it. I think it just comes down to the coaching and just what they're doing with all the moving pieces, the route combinations from the wide receivers. What route combinations are they running to get these wide receivers open? I think that's been like the main thing, and especially this week, the last couple weeks. So did the Eagles play better than last week? 100% yes, they did. Did they do it by much? Depending on position, they did. Running back wise, they ran the ball very, very nicely. And you got to see what DeAndre Swift is. Chip on his shoulder. Trust me, the guy's playing with a big chip on his shoulder. First touchdown, Philadelphia. Home opener. Can't complain about it, okay? I think there's a lot of promise here with this roster. This is another character-building type game to look themselves in the mirror after this game to say, yeah, we could play much better next time. And these coaches have got to get their shit together. They really do. I felt better with the defense more than the offense because, sometimes, look, when you hand the ball off to DeAndre Swift, he's going to get a lot of yards, okay? But when it comes to the passing game, it's worrying me a little bit. If they look like this within another 2 weeks, at least by the time we play Washington, if they still look like this offensively, then I don't know. It's going to be interesting and not to say panic, but it's going to be close to it because we need to stack these wins as much as possible, okay? These are so important wins. I don't care if they win by a point. I don't care if they win in overtime. I don't care how they win the game, okay? Stack these wins right now because this schedule is going to get harder by the second half of the season when you're facing KC, when you're facing Buffalo. It's going to get harder, okay? So it is very important right now to stack as much as possible. The Eagles have 10 days off. You'll have Bradbury back. You'll have Reed Blankenship back. You will have guys back. Gainwell will be back. Hopefully they don't use Gainwell over DeAndre Swift, and hopefully they could just start to, Jalen Hurts and Brian Johnson got to talk or something because something's got to happen here. It's just that bothered me. They're doing some of these dumb cop-out plays with running with Jalen Hurts, having him get hit so much, and these stupid screen passes, which I just can't stand, or these 3-yard passes to receivers, these dump-off passes to a receiver on the flat, or a tight end on the flat, or a running back on the flat. It just, to me, it just doesn't work. It just makes you look too obvious, too vanilla, and teams read it easily. The play action on first down was just really annoying because the Vikings just weren't fazed by it. They were getting the most pressure. They were, if you're doing the same formation every first down, and it's a play action pass, and you're doing it every time, that defensive line, that defense is going to get the jump on you, and I think that was one of the biggest problems. So, apologize if I repeated myself a few times in this video, kind of been jumping all over the place. And Jake Elliott had a 61-yard field goal today at the end of the first half, right before we were going into halftime. Had a 61-yarder. He missed a field goal earlier in the game, but did pretty, had a great kick, man. Jake Elliott is like the next Justin Tucker, I swear. I swear to God, playing so fantastic. So really happy with this team win. There's definitely a lot of things we need to fix, and we're getting players back in another 10 days. We'll have players back, so I'm not worried about it too much, but to get guys back, to get your number 2 corner is going to help. To get Reed Blankenship back is 100% going to help. I actually like Justin Evans. I didn't mind him too much. Goodrich had trouble on the tight ends today. Avonte Max is hurt again with a shoulder injury. And I thought Joe, besides the Addison touchdown, I thought he played pretty good for a first game. I mean, I think they did a good job. And then offensively, like I said the same thing. The running game is probably the one aspect of where we might have to play through is this run game, because I think it's going to be one of the most dangerous groups this year. I know in 21 we ran the ball a lot too. We didn't run the ball well until like middle of the season, where Sirianni gave up the play calling a little bit during the season to Shane Steichen. So I understand people are missing Shane Steichen right now, but I'm hoping that Brian Johnson gets his head out of his ass and start using these guys the right way and getting these receivers open when it makes sense, because I don't get how a team drops back 8 players and there's nobody on the flat, there's nobody on a cross, there's nobody on a slant, there's nobody working the middle of the field. You know what I mean? Everything should be open. You don't understand? Like, everything should be open at that point, and it's not. And because there's nobody there. That whole spot, the commentator said it a million times, that spot is totally empty and nobody's running through there. So it just confused me a lot. And I think Brian Johnson's learning as the weeks go on, but we got to stack these wins and see what these, and get this thing moving. So other than that, if you last this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video as well. We'll have more content, and we'll have a live stream tomorrow. And let me know what you guys think about the game. Is it a good loss? Is it a good win? Is it a bad win? How are you feeling about Brian Johnson? How are you feeling about, Sean Desai, our defensive coordinator? How are you feeling, about the run game in general? Do you think the Eagles need to change a few things? Just let me know. I think there's a lot of things they need to change offensively. And if it's one thing, it's getting Jalen Hurts into rhythm. And defensively, you did as much as you could with the injuries that you had. And a little bit, they blitzed a good amount too, so not too bad. But just let me know what you guys think. Other than that, 2-0. I can't complain. Let's get it. Let's stack these wins. That's all that matters. You guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Chicks, what up, Fall Slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.